The Regency Grand Hotel lobby gleamed under crystal chandeliers, a testament to luxury few could afford. Michael Turner sat in a corner, his weathered work boots and faded maintenance uniform, a stark contrast to the polished marble and designer suits surrounding him. His calloused fingers absently traced the worn edges of his work order, a routine fire system maintenance contract that had brought him to this palace of privilege. Beside him, 10-year-old Emma carefully folded a napkin with practiced precision, her small fingers creating sharp creases with surprising skill. Michael watched his daughter, a flicker of pride cutting through his constant vigilance. Emma's dark hair fell across her face as she concentrated, her tongue peeking out slightly, a habit she'd had since she was 3. The paper crane taking shape under her nimble fingers was her ritual, her way of protecting him in a world she sensed was more dangerous than he let on. The security chief's voice cut through Michael's thoughts, addressing a nearby guest in an unnecessarily loud tone. Victor Reed stood tall in his tailored black suit, a security earpiece gleaming against his closely cropped hair. His eyes, cold and calculating, swept the lobby with practiced authority, lingering dismissively on Michael and Emma. Michael's gaze drifted upward, an old habit from years of tactical assessment. The security cameras positioned throughout the lobby moved in programmed patterns except one. The camera covering the VIP section had been subtly repositioned, creating a deliberate blind spot. Not a malfunction. Intentional. Emma completed her crane, holding it up with a small smile. Her voice was soft but clear in the cavernous space. "This one's special, Daddy. Extra protection today?" She tucked it carefully into Michael's shirt pocket, patting it twice their private ritual. Michael's finger traced the edge of the paper wing, feeling the 37 precise folds that transformed ordinary paper into something meaningful, something protective. The irony wasn't lost on him. After everything he'd seen and done, his greatest comfort came from folded paper and his daughter's unwavering belief in its power. A woman in a simple black dress entered the hotel, moving with quiet confidence through the lobby. Catherine Hayes carried herself with understated elegance, expensive taste disguised as simplicity. Michael noticed her immediately, not because of her beauty, though she possessed that too, but because of the way her eyes methodically scanned the room. Not a tourist, not a regular guest, someone looking for something specific. Emma followed her father's gaze and whispered, "She looks nice." Not like the others. There was wisdom in Emma's assessment. The woman lacked the performative wealth display of the other guests. Her watch was expensive but functional. No flashy jewelry, no entourage. Catherine's path toward the hotel bar was intercepted by Victor Reed and 2 security staff. Their postures shifted subtly predatory interest, barely disguised as professional courtesy. Victor's hand brushed Catherine's elbow, guiding her toward the VIP area. Her slight recoil was visible only to those trained to notice such things. Michael was. The hotel manager approached Michael with practiced disdain, his voice clipped and condescending. "Sir, the service entrance is located in the basement. This area is reserved for guests. Perhaps he could direct you." Michael met the manager's gaze directly, his voice calm but firm. "I'm here to inspect the fire suppression system. Contract signed last month. My daughter is with me because her after-school program was canceled. We'll be out of your way shortly." Emma shrank slightly beside him, feeling the judgment radiating from the manager and several nearby guests who had turned to stare. She folded another napkin with increased focus. Her small shoulders hunched. A wealthy couple at the bar spoke loudly enough to be overheard. "These service people bringing children to work. Absolutely inappropriate." The woman's diamond bracelet caught the light as she gestured dismissively in their direction. Michael placed a protective hand on Emma's shoulder, feeling her tense under the scrutiny. He'd faced gunfire with less concern than he felt watching his daughter absorb these casual cruelties. Combat was simpler than watching Emma learn how the world really worked. The manager's phone buzzed. He answered with a curt nod, eyes widening slightly before sliding away from Michael. Something important had just happened. Something unscheduled. The manager hurried toward the VIP section where Victor was still engaged with Catherine. Emma's small voice pulled Michael back. "I don't like how they're talking to that lady, Daddy." Her gaze was fixed on the VIP section where Catherine now stood surrounded by Victor and his 2 associates, their bodies forming a casual but effective barrier around her. Michael followed his daughter's gaze. Catherine's posture had stiffened, her polite smile not reaching her eyes as she attempted to step away. Victor shifted to block her path, his hand now resting on her lower back. The security cameras remained pointed away from the area. "I need to use the restroom." Emma's words were deliberate, her eyes communicating more than her voice. They had a code developed during the years after Michael left the military. When Emma said those words in that specific tone, she was telling him she could manage alone, giving him permission to handle whatever situation had caught his attention. Michael weighed his options. His military training screamed at him to avoid engagement to protect Emma by staying invisible. But something else, something that had survived Black River, wouldn't let him sit by. "Be right back, princess. Stay here, keep folding. If anyone bothers you, go to the front desk and tell them to call me." He brushed Emma's hair gently, their private signal that this was serious. Emma nodded solemnly, pulling another napkin toward her. "I'll make lots of cranes, extra protection." Michael stood adjusting his maintenance uniform. To casual observers, he was simply a contractor heading to do his job. Nothing worth noticing. He'd perfected the art of being forgettable, a survival tactic that had served him well since Black River. As he approached the VIP section, fragments of conversation became clear. Catherine's voice was firm but showing signs of strain. "I appreciate the offer, but I'm here on business. I need to leave now." Victor's response carried the false joviality of a predator, confident in its power. "Business can wait. We're celebrating a special acquisition tonight. Someone with your insights should join us. My employer would be very interested in meeting you." The other security staff positioned themselves to block the exits, a movement so practiced it confirmed Michael's suspicion this wasn't their first time isolating a target. Catherine's eyes met Michael's briefly as he approached, a flash of calculation crossing her features. She was measuring him, assessing whether he represented help or another threat. Michael adjusted his posture, subtly softening his approach to appear non-threatening while positioning himself within striking distance of Victor. "Excuse me, sir. Need to check the fire sprinkler system in this section." "Building code requirement." Victor turned, irritation flashing across his face as he registered Michael's presence. His eyes performed a quick, dismissive assessment, noting the worn uniform and calloused hands. "Not worth his concern, not a threat. This will have to wait. We're conducting important business." Catherine seized the momentary distraction. "Actually, I was just leaving. Thank you for your time." She attempted to step around Victor, who smoothly shifted to block her path again. "I'm afraid I need to insist, Ms. Hayes. My employer has specifically asked to meet you." Victor's voice hardened, the pretense of courtesy evaporating. "We know who you are and why you're really here. It would be better for everyone if you cooperated." Michael recognized the escalation markers, the widened stance, the subtle hand signal to the other security staff, the shift from persuasion to intimidation. These men were trained but not military, private security with enough skill to be dangerous, but enough arrogance to be careless. "The lady said she's leaving." Michael kept his voice neutral, a simple statement of fact rather than a challenge. "The code inspector needs access to this area now. Fire safety regulations. You can verify with the city office if needed." Victor's attention fully shifted to Michael, his expression morphing from annoyance to amusement. "Wrong man, buddy. This isn't your place," he gestured dismissively. "Maintenance checks in through the service entrance. Finish your job elsewhere." Michael remained still, his posture relaxed yet balanced. Years of combat training allowed him to appear completely at ease while calculating exactly how quickly he could incapacitate all three men if necessary. He wasn't looking for a fight, but he was prepared for one. Emma watched from across the lobby, her fingers pausing mid-fold. Michael could feel his daughter's eyes on him, and it reinforced his determination to resolve this without violence. Emma had seen enough of the world's ugliness already. The hotel manager reappeared immediately, sensing the tension. "Is there a problem here?" His nervous glance between Victor and Michael revealed where his loyalties lay. Victor smiled tightly. "No problem. Just explaining to our maintenance staff that this area is currently reserved for a private function. Ms. Hayes is joining us for a business discussion." Catherine's voice cut through the tension. "I've declined the invitation and I'm leaving now." Her tone was controlled but firm, the voice of someone used to being heard. Michael noticed the quick exchange of glances between Victor and the manager, the subtle nod that passed between them. More than a misunderstanding, This was coordinated. As Michael watched the manager slip Victor a small envelope, the movement disguised as a handshake. Money had changed hands. This wasn't standard hotel security. This was something else entirely. Emma's small form appeared at the edge of his vision. She hadn't approached respecting their agreement, but she'd positioned herself where he could see her. In her hand was another completed crane, held up like a talisman. Her silent support strengthened his resolve. I'll escort the lady to her car. Michael stepped slightly closer to Catherine, his voice carrying a quiet authority that made Victor pause. Other hotel guests were beginning to notice the confrontation, their curious glances making Victor reconsider his approach. The security chief's jaw tightened as he calculated the risk of a scene versus the cost of letting Catherine leave. Victor's hand moved to Michael's chest, applying firm pressure, not quite a shove, but an unmistakable assertion of dominance. Wrong man, buddy. Wrong place, wrong time. This doesn't concern you. The contact triggered something in Michael, not anger, but a cold clinical focus that had once made him the most effective operative in elite shadow unit. Time seemed to slow as his senses heightened, cataloging every detail. Victor's slightly widened stance, the position of his associates, the exact pressure point on his wrist that would disable him without causing permanent damage. Michael remained motionless, absorbing the push without yielding ground. His voice dropped, becoming quieter, but somehow filling the space between them. The lady said no. That should be enough for any decent person. Victor's eyes narrowed, reassessing the maintenance man before him. Something in Michael's stillness triggered a warning. Not anger, not fear, something more dangerous. Controlled power. Move along, maintenance man. Security handles guest relations, not janitors. From the corner of his eye, Michael saw a hotel guest raise a phone, beginning to record the confrontation. Perfect. Witnesses and evidence would make this easier to diffuse without violence. Emma had moved closer, her small face set with determination. She was clutching several paper cranes in her hand, a rainbow of colors created from hotel stationery and napkins. The sight centered Michael, reminding him exactly what was at stake. Catherine seized the moment of distraction, stepping firmly away from Victor's group and toward Michael. Thank you for your concern. I would appreciate an escort to my car. Her deliberate alignment with Michael shifted the dynamic, making Victor's continued aggression more obviously inappropriate. Victor's expression darkened as he realized the situation was slipping from his control. More guests were watching now, phones raised. He signaled to his associates, who moved to flank Michael on both sides. The message was clear: back off or face consequences. Michael assessed his options, calculating the minimum force necessary to protect Catherine while ensuring Emma remained safe. He'd promised himself after Black River that he'd never again use his skills in violence, but some promises had to yield to necessity. The first security associate reached for Michael's arm, intending to move him aside. It was the opening Michael needed, controlled and justifiable. With precise economy of movement, he shifted his weight, redirecting the man's momentum and stepping aside. The security guard stumbled forward, thrown off balance but unhurt. A murmur rippled through the watching crowd. The movement had been so smooth, so controlled, that it appeared the guard had simply tripped. Only those with trained eyes would recognize the technique. Victor's face flushed with anger. He nodded sharply to his second associate, who moved toward Michael with more aggressive intent. Wrong man testing the wrong people. The security chief's voice carried a hint of genuine threat now. Michael didn't wait for the attack. As the second guard approached, he simply picked up a water glass from a nearby table and held it out as if offering a drink. The unexpected gesture caused the guard to hesitate just long enough for Michael to step past him, positioning himself beside Catherine. Emma had moved to the front desk, following their emergency protocol perfectly. She stood watching, small hands clutching her paper cranes, eyes wide but not fearful. Michael caught her gaze and gave her the slightest nod, their signal that things were under control. Victor stepped forward, himself no longer bothering with pretense. His hand reached inside his jacket, a movement designed to imply a weapon without explicitly revealing one. You have no idea who you're dealing with, maintenance man. The hotel manager intervened suddenly, anxious about the escalating situation in his lobby. Sir, perhaps we should call the police to resolve this matter. His nervous glance at Victor revealed his fear, not of Michael, but of the security chief. Victor's hand emerged empty from his jacket as he reconsidered. The growing audience of recording phones had changed his calculation. Fine. Ms. Hayes is free to leave for now. His eyes narrowed as he addressed Catherine. But our employer will be very disappointed to have missed you. Michael recognized the threat beneath the words. This wasn't over, merely postponed. He maintained his position between Catherine and the security team, his body language making it clear he would escort her out. As Catherine moved toward the exit, Victor stepped close to Michael, speaking quietly enough that only he could hear. You made a serious mistake today, whoever you are. I don't know what your game is, but you just put yourself on our radar. Michael met his gaze steadily, neither intimidated nor provoked. He remained silent, knowing any response would only escalate the situation further. Emma was watching. She needed to see resolution, not confrontation. The security team withdrew, maintaining threatening glares but unwilling to act with so many witnesses present. The hotel manager hurried away, already on his phone, reporting to someone, probably not hotel management. Catherine moved swiftly toward the exit, her composure intact despite the confrontation. Michael gestured for Emma to join them, unwilling to leave her alone after what had happened. She hurried over, paper cranes clutched tightly in her small fist. As they walked toward the door, Victor called out one final time. Wrong man, wrong place, wrong time. Buddy, remember that when they come looking. Michael's spine stiffened at the explicit threat, but he kept moving, guiding Catherine and Emma toward the exit without looking back. Emma slipped her hand into his, squeezing tightly. Her small voice barely reached him. I knew the cranes would work, Daddy. Outside, the late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the hotel's grand entrance. Catherine turned to Michael in professional demeanor, giving way to genuine relief. Thank you for intervening. That could have gone very badly. Michael nodded, his attention split between Catherine and scanning the surroundings for potential threats. You need to leave immediately. Those men will be watching the exits. Catherine studied him with newfound interest. You're not really maintenance, are you? There was a sharp intelligence in her assessment, an investigator's instinct for inconsistencies. Emma interjected before Michael could respond. My daddy fixes everything. Her simple statement carried absolute conviction, though her eyes revealed understanding beyond her years. Catherine smiled at Emma, her expression softening. Then I'm very lucky your daddy was here today. She knelt to eye level with the child. Those are beautiful paper cranes. Did you make them yourself? Emma nodded solemnly, offering one of her creations to Catherine. For protection, everyone needs one. Catherine accepted the gift with appropriate gravity, tucking it carefully into her purse. Thank you, I think I might need it. Her gaze returned to Michael, questions evident in her expression. A black SUV with tinted windows pulled slowly through the hotel's circular drive, its engine idling as it passed them. Michael placed himself between the vehicle and Emma, his body tensing imperceptibly. The SUV continued past without stopping, but Michael recognized a surveillance pass when he saw one. We need to go. Now. Michael guided Emma toward their old Jeep parked in the far corner of the lot. Catherine, you should leave separately. Different direction. Catherine held her ground. I can't just walk away. I need to talk to you somewhere safe. She glanced toward the hotel entrance where Victor had emerged and was scanning the parking area. Please, it's important. Michael hesitated, every instinct telling him to cut contact and disappear. He'd worked hard to build a normal life for Emma to stay beneath notice. Getting involved would risk everything. Emma tugged at his hand, her voice quiet but insistent. She needs help, Daddy, like the lady at the grocery store last month. We helped her remember. Michael looked down at his daughter's earnest face, feeling a complicated mix of pride and concern. Emma's moral compass was unclouded by the compromises and calculations that had defined his former life. In her world, right and wrong remained simple. People who needed help should receive it. Meet us at Riverside Park, near the boathouse. 20 minutes. Michael kept his voice low, already calculating alternate routes to ensure they weren't followed. If you see any vehicles from the hotel, don't stop. Catherine nodded, her relief evident. Thank you. I promise this is important. She moved swiftly toward a modest sedan parked near the hotel's side entrance. Michael hurried Emma to their Jeep, lifting her into the passenger seat and checking the vehicle thoroughly before starting the engine. His mind raced through contingency plans, exit routes, safe houses, patterns of thought he'd hoped to leave behind. Emma buckled her seatbelt without prompting, her expression serious beyond her years. Are we in danger? Daddy. Michael considered lying, then remembered his promise to always tell her the truth even when it was difficult. A simplified version, but never a lie. I don't think so, Princess. But we need to be careful. Those men were not nice people. Emma nodded, accepting his assessment. I could tell. That's why I made extra cranes. She opened her small backpack, revealing dozens of colorful paper creations. I started making them this morning. I had a feeling. Michael pulled out of the parking lot, taking a circuitous route toward Riverside Park. He checked the rear-view mirror, constantly watching for any sign of pursuit. Emma's feelings had proven remarkably accurate in the past, another unexplainable connection that had developed after Black River after he'd returned, changed in ways no medical scan could detect. The park came into view, its sprawling green space offering both visibility and multiple exit routes, a tactical advantage Michael assessed automatically. He parked near the boathouse as promised, but chose a spot that allowed him to monitor approaching vehicles. Emma gathered her backpack, now stuffed with paper cranes. I think the nice lady needs to know about you, Daddy, about before. Michael tensed his hands, tightening on the steering wheel. The before was something they rarely discussed. Emma knew only the barest outlines, that her father had once been a soldier, that he had been hurt, that he had lost friends. She didn't know about Elite Shadow Unit, about Black River, about the missions that never officially happened. Why do you think that Princess Michael kept his voice casual, but Emma wasn't fooled? Because she has secrets too. I could tell. Her eyes are like yours, sometimes seeing things other people don't notice. Emma's insight was disconcertingly accurate. Michael spotted Catherine's sedan entering the parking area. She drove cautiously, making a complete circuit before choosing a space near the park's main path. Good situational awareness. She remained in her car for several minutes, scanning the surroundings before finally emerging and walking toward the boathouse. No signs of surveillance or pursuit. Stay close to me. Okay. Michael helped Emma from the Jeep, keeping her hand firmly in his as they walked to meet Catherine. Catherine spotted them approaching and visibly relaxed. For a moment, she'd clearly worried they might not show. The professional mask she'd maintained at the hotel had slipped, somewhat revealing genuine strain beneath. Thank you for meeting me. She looked down at Emma with a warm smile. And thank you for the crane. It's already bringing me luck. Emma beamed at the acknowledgement, producing another colorful creation from her pocket. This one's even stronger. Special folding technique. Catherine accepted the second crane with appropriate solemnity before turning to Michael, her expression becoming serious. I need to tell you something that's going to sound unusual, but after what happened at the hotel, I think you'll understand. Michael remained silent, waiting. Years of interrogation training had taught him the power of silence. People filled it with information if you let them. I'm not just a hotel guest. Catherine's voice lowered despite the empty park around them. I'm an FBI agent investigating a money laundering operation connected to the Regency Grand and several other luxury hotels in the Monarch chain. Michael's expression remained neutral, but his mind raced through implications. FBI involvement explained her observational skills and composure under pressure. It also significantly raised the stakes of his interference. Emma looked between the adults, her small face thoughtful. That's why the mean men didn't want you to leave. You're the good guy catching bad guys. Catherine smiled at Emma's simplification but nodded. Something like that, yes. Her attention returned to Michael. What happened today wasn't random. Victor Reed recognized me. The Monarch security teams have been briefed about potential investigators. What I don't understand is why they backed down when you intervened. They had the advantage. Michael shifted slightly, positioning himself to better monitor their surroundings while they talked. They underestimated me. Most people do. It's an advantage I cultivate. Catherine studied him with increased interest. You handled the situation like someone with tactical training. Military Michael nodded slightly, offering the minimum information necessary. Former. Discharged after an injury. He unconsciously touched his side where the shrapnel scars remained, a physical reminder of Black River. Emma interjected, her voice matter of fact. Daddy was a hero soldier. He got hurt saving his friends. Now he fixes things instead of breaking them. That's what he always says. Catherine's expression softened at Emma's description before returning to business. Well, your intervention today may have compromised months of investigation. Reed will report to his superiors that they've been made. Evidence will be moved or destroyed. Michael absorbed this information without visible reaction. That's not my concern. My priority is keeping my daughter safe. Catherine nodded, understanding his perspective. But now you're involved, whether you intended to be or not. Reed saw your face. He'll run background checks, try to identify you. The Monarch organization doesn't forget perceived threats. Michael had already considered this. He'd maintained a carefully constructed identity since leaving Elite Shadow. Regular maintenance jobs, apartment leases, school enrollment for Emma, all under credentials that would withstand ordinary scrutiny. But an organization with serious resources might dig deeper. I appreciate the warning. We'll handle it. Michael turned to leave, guiding Emma with a gentle hand on her shoulder. Wait, there's more. Catherine's voice held an urgency that made Michael pause. Reed called you wrong man. That phrase is significant. It's part of an operational code we've detected in our surveillance. Wrong man designates someone marked for elimination. Michael felt a cold certainty settle in his stomach. The threat was explicit now, no longer theoretical. Emma sensed the shift in his demeanor, pressing closer to his side. There's something else you should know. Catherine hesitated, clearly weighing how much to reveal. My name is Catherine Hayes, but that's not my complete identity. My father is Richard Blackwood. The name hit Michael like a physical blow. Blackwood Corporation. One of the largest security contractors in the world, and the company that had equipped and supported Elite Shadow Unit on their final mission. The mission that ended at Black River. Emma looked up at her father, sensing the significance, though not understanding it. Daddy Michael's mind raced through implications. Hayes must be her mother's name, a way to operate without the weight of the Blackwood connection. But why reveal this now? Catherine continued, her voice lowered further. Monarch Luxury isn't just laundering money. They're using their hotels as exchange points for something called Project Chrysalis. I don't know what it is yet, but I have reason to believe it's connected to what happened at Black River 3 years ago. Michael's carefully constructed world tilted beneath him. Black River was classified beyond top secret. The base explosion that had supposedly killed his entire unit was reported as a training accident. No one outside the highest military circles should know the truth that it had been a deliberate attack to silence Elite Shadow after they uncovered something they weren't supposed to find. Catherine registered his reaction and pressed forward. I know you were there. Your reaction confirms it. You're Ghost, the Elite Shadow commander, who disappeared after the explosion. The only survivor. Emma's grip on Michael's hand tightened. She knew nothing of Ghost, nothing of Elite Shadow, but she recognized the tension radiating through her father. I think you have me confused with someone else. Michael's denial was automatic protective, for Emma's sake as much as his own. Catherine pulled a small notebook from her purse, flipping it open to reveal a grainy photograph. A military team in non-standard tactical gear, faces deliberately obscured, but one figure was circled. Elite Shadow before the final mission. When Reed and his men confronted you, you shifted your weight to your right leg, compensating for shrapnel damage to your left side. Same injury reported for Ghost in the classified files I accessed. You protected your core but left your right arm exposed to exactly how someone would move if they had reinforced body armor under their clothing. Except you weren't wearing armor today, were you? The movement is just muscle memory now. Michael remained still, neither confirming nor denying. His focus narrowed to immediate priorities, protecting Emma, assessing the threat level, evaluating escape routes. The familiar calm of combat readiness washed over him. Emma looked between the adults, her young face serious beyond her years. Is this about the nightmares, Daddy? The ones that make you check the doors and windows 3 times every night? The innocent question cut through Michael's tactical calculations. Emma had always seen more than he realized, understood more than he'd explained. She deserved better than half-truths. Catherine softened her approach, recognizing the impact of her revelations. I'm not here to expose you or cause problems. I came to the Regency Grand hoping to access their secure servers. What I didn't expect was to find a ghost, literally. I'm a maintenance engineer with a daughter to protect. Michael's voice remained steady, giving nothing away. Whatever you think you know about me is irrelevant. My only concern is keeping Emma safe. Catherine nodded, accepting his position without conceding her point. I understand completely, but Victor Reed and his employers now see you as a threat. They won't just let this go, especially once they run your identity and find inconsistencies. You helped me today. Let me help you now. Emma tugged at Michael's hand, drawing his attention. She helps people like you do, Daddy. Maybe we should listen. Michael looked down at his daughter's earnest face, feeling the weight of responsibility that had defined his life since becoming a single father. Everything he'd done leaving the military, creating new identities, moving across the country, had been to keep Emma safe. to give her normalcy after losing her mother, to protect her from the shadows that haunted him. What exactly are you proposing? Michael finally asked, his voice neutral. Catherine glanced around, ensuring they remained alone in the park. In exchange, I need access to the Regency Grand's secure server room to gather evidence of their money laundering operation. You need protection from Monarch's inevitable investigation into you. With your background, you could help me access areas I can't reach alone. In return, I can use FBI resources to strengthen your cover identity, make it bulletproof against their scrutiny. Michael weighed the offer, calculating risks and benefits with the precision that had once made him Elite Shadow's most effective strategist. Working with Hayes would mean re-engaging with exactly the kind of operation he'd left behind. But refusing her help might leave Emma vulnerable to Monarch's retribution. Emma looked up at her father, her voice quiet but clear. The Cranes protect us, Daddy, but sometimes people need to help too. Remember what you always tell me. Real strength isn't what you can break, it's what you choose to protect. Michael felt a complicated surge of emotion at hearing his own words reflected back by his daughter. The mantra had been his attempt to redefine himself after Black River, to transform the skills of destruction into something constructive. Catherine sensed his internal conflict. One operation, limited engagement. Then I help secure your identities and we part ways. No one ever needs to know who you were. A black SUV entered the park entrance, driving slowly along the perimeter road. Michael tensed, positioning himself between the vehicle and Emma. Catherine noticed his reaction and followed his gaze. That's one of the hotel cars. We need to move. Catherine's voice remained calm despite the urgency of her words. Michael made his decision. If Monarch was already tracking them, the best protection wasn't running. It was eliminating the threat at its source. Exactly what Elite Shadow had been created to do. One operation. Then we're done. His agreement was clipped, conditional. Catherine nodded, understanding the boundaries. We'll need a secure place to talk details. Not your home, they'll check obvious locations first. I know a place. Michael guided Emma back toward their Jeep. His senses heightened as he tracked the SUV's movement through the park. Safe house protocols unused for years surfaced in his mind with practiced efficiency. As they reached the Jeep, the SUV accelerated its path, clearly intercept. Michael lifted Emma quickly into the passenger seat, buckling her in with efficient movements. Catherine hurried to her own vehicle, recognizing the threat. Emma clutched her backpack of paper cranes, her eyes wide but her voice steady. Do we need to be ghosts now, Daddy? The question pierced through Michael's tactical focus. In the years since Black River, he'd taught Emma various games that were actually security protocols, how to disappear in a crowd, how to memorize exit routes, how to become effectively invisible. Games she'd mastered with disturbing aptitude. Just for a little while, Princess. Michael started the engine as the SUV approached. Remember the disappearing game? Emma nodded solemnly, immediately slouching in her seat to reduce her visible profile exactly as he'd taught her. They can't follow who they can't see. Michael pulled out of the parking space, taking a service road that cut through the park's maintenance area, an exit most visitors wouldn't know existed. In the rearview mirror, he saw Catherine's sedan follow while the SUV was forced to continue on the main park road. As they drove, Michael's mind calculated next steps with military precision. The safe house in Westridge was still secure, maintained through a shell corporation even after he had left the service. The cache of emergency supplies, weapons, and communication equipment would still be operational. Elite Shadow protocols demanded minimum 5-year readiness for all fallback positions. Emma watched her father's face, reading the shift in his demeanor. The maintenance engineer was receding, replaced by someone else, someone more focused, more dangerous. Someone she'd glimpsed only in fragments when he thought she wasn't looking. Are you becoming ghost again, Daddy? Her small voice held curiosity rather than fear. Michael glanced at his daughter, struck by her perception. No, Princess. Ghost is gone. I'm still your daddy. I'm just remembering some things I used to know. Things that will keep us safe. Emma nodded, accepting this explanation. She pulled a paper crane from her backpack, carefully placing it on the dashboard. This one's special. Extra strength. Michael felt the familiar ache in his chest, love mixed with fierce protectiveness. Everything he'd done since Black River had been to ensure Emma never saw the darkness he'd inhabited as Ghost. Now that world was reaching for them, both threatening the normal life he'd sacrificed everything to build. As they navigated through side streets, using evasive driving techniques, that came back to Michael like muscle memory. He caught sight of Catherine's sedan, maintaining position 3 cars back. Good. She'd understood the need for distance without requiring explanation. Further confirmation of her training. The SUV was nowhere in sight, but Michael took no chances employing a complex route with multiple direction changes and potential surveillance detection opportunities. After 20 minutes of careful maneuvering, he was reasonably confident they weren't being followed. The safe house was located in an unremarkable suburban neighborhood, a small bungalow with a detached garage and overgrown garden that suggested occasional occupancy. Nothing that would attract attention. Michael parked the Jeep in the garage, closing the door before helping Emma out. She knew better than to ask questions when her father entered this mode of silent efficiency. Instead, she held her backpack tightly and followed his lead. The house's security system recognized Michael's biometric signature, disarming automatically as they approached. Inside, the furnishings were minimal but functional, a safe house designed for operations, not comfort. Emma looked around with interest but not surprise. "Is this like our emergency cabin, Daddy?" Michael nodded, impressed by her composure. "Similar, yes. We might need to stay here a little while." A soft knock at the door signaled Catherine's arrival. Michael checked the exterior cameras before admitting her his movements precise and economical, ghost resurfacing in ways he couldn't entirely control. Catherine entered, taking in the safe house with a professional's assessment. Elite shadow resources. Her question was casual but pointed. Michael didn't answer directly. "We're secure here. No electronic signatures, hardened against surveillance. We can talk freely." Emma had already settled on the sofa, pulling out her collection of paper cranes and arranging them in a protective circle. The childish ritual in the midst of the tensely professional interaction created a surreal contrast. Catherine's expression softened as she watched Emma. Then turning to Michael, her professional demeanor returned. "Victor Reed has already filed a report on today's incident. My source inside Monarch confirmed they're running facial recognition searches through multiple databases. It's only a matter of time before they connect you to Elite Shadow." Michael absorbed this information without visible reaction, though internally he was already formulating contingencies. "How much time?" 12 hours. Maybe less. Catherine's assessment was blunt. "They have considerable resources and connections within government agencies." Emma looked up from her paper cranes, her young face serious. "Is the bad man looking for Daddy?" Catherine hesitated, clearly uncertain how to address the child's question. Michael intervened, kneeling beside his daughter. "Some people from my old job might want to find me, but we're going to make sure they can't. That's why we're here." Emma considered this explanation, then nodded with a child's acceptance of complicated adult matters. "That's why we need Ms. Catherine's help. She helps catch bad guys." "Yes, Princess." Michael smoothed Emma's hair gently before rising to face Catherine. The tenderness of the gesture contrasted sharply with the calculated precision of his next words. "Tell me everything you know about Project Chrysalis and its connection to Black River." Catherine inhaled deeply, weighing how much to reveal. "I believe Project Chrysalis is a continuation of whatever operation Elite Shadow uncovered before Black River. My investigation started with money laundering through Monarch Hotels, but I've found evidence suggesting the financial transactions are just cover for something else. Something involving secure data transfer and high-level government contacts." The mention of data transfer triggered a memory that Michael had worked hard to suppress. In the final days before Black River, Elite Shadow had intercepted encrypted communications pointing to a massive breach of classified intelligence. They had traced the source to a private contractor working with apparent government sanction. Before they could report their findings through official channels, the Black River base was destroyed. "You think Monarch is moving classified intelligence?" Michael's question was carefully neutral, revealing nothing of his own knowledge. Catherine nodded. "Not just moving it, selling it, to multiple international buyers. The hotel chain provides perfect cover for exchange points, VIP guests, private meeting rooms, secure communications, and all perfectly normal business activities on the surface." Emma had stopped arranging her paper cranes, listening to the adults with the focused attention of a child who had learned early to absorb information others thought beyond her understanding. Michael processed Catherine's theory, matching it against the fragments he'd pieced together during the chaotic aftermath of Black River. The pattern aligned too perfectly to be coincidence. "Why come to me with this?" Michael's voice remained steady, but the question carried weight. "You're FBI. You have resources protocols for this kind of investigation. Catherine's expression hardened slightly. Because someone within the Bureau is involved. I've been running this investigation off book for the past 6 months. Official channels are compromised. The revelation didn't surprise Michael. Elite Shadow had been created precisely because traditional command structures were vulnerable to infiltration. Their final mission had proven how deep that vulnerability extended. Emma's small voice interrupted the tense exchange. Daddy always says trust has to be earned. Her simple statement carried surprising weight in the charged atmosphere. Catherine smiled at the child's insight before returning her attention to Michael. She reached into her purse and removed a small data drive. I've compiled everything I've gathered so far. Financial records, surveillance logs, intercepted communications. Review it yourself. Then decide if you trust me enough to help. Michael accepted the drive, recognizing the gesture for what it was, a calculated risk on Catherine's part. Sharing intelligence with a non-agent violated multiple FBI protocols. If he was working for Monarch, this could destroy her career. Emma slid from the sofa, approaching Catherine with solemn purpose. She held out a particularly intricate paper crane, its folds more complex than the others. This one's special. It helps people know who to trust. Catherine accepted the offering with appropriate gravity. Thank you, Emma. I could use that right now. Michael watched the exchange, feeling the familiar conflict between Ghost's cold tactical assessment and the father he'd fought to become. Emma's innocent belief in her paper talismans highlighted exactly what was at stake, not just their safety, but her ability to maintain that childlike faith in a world that had already taken too much from her. I'll review the data. Michael's decision was made. If it confirms what you've told me, I'll help you access the Regency Grand servers. One operation as agreed. Then you secure our identities and we disappear permanently this time. Catherine nodded, accepting his terms. You should know one more thing. She hesitated, clearly weighing the impact of her next revelation. Your former commanding officer, Colonel Mercer, contacted me 6 months ago. He's the one who suggested I might find you if the investigation led to Monarch. Michael stilled the name, triggering a cascade of memories. Colonel Robert Mercer had created Elite Shadow Unit, personally selecting each operative. He had been listed among the casualties at Black River, his body supposedly identified through dental records. Mercer is alive. Michael's voice remained controlled, but Emma, attuned to her father's emotional state, moved closer to him, offering silent support. Catherine nodded, alive and running his own investigation into Project Chrysalis. He believes whatever Elite Shadow discovered before Black River wasn't destroyed with the base. He thinks the operation is still active, just under new management, Monarch's management. The pieces aligned with disturbing clarity in Michael's mind. Elite Shadow had tracked the intelligence breach to a contractor with government connections, exactly the kind of high-level access Monarch's hospitality business provided through their VIP clients. Emma tugged gently at Michael's hand, her voice quiet but insistent. Daddy, I'm hungry. The simple request grounded Michael, pulling him back from the swirling implications of Catherine's revelations. Emma's needs, immediate, practical, essential, had been his anchor since Black River. The reason he'd walked away from the wreckage, chosen survival over vengeance. We'll get some food soon, Princess. Michael squeezed her hand reassuringly before addressing Catherine. If we do this, Emma's safety is non-negotiable. She stays protected, separate from the operation. Catherine nodded without hesitation. Absolutely. We can arrange secure accommodation with FBI protection. Official channels wouldn't question standard witness protection protocols. Emma's expression turned stubborn, a look Michael recognized all too well. I stay with Daddy. Her tone brooked no argument, reminding Michael forcefully of her mother's determination. We'll discuss options, Princess. Michael kept his voice gentle but firm. Right now I need to review Ms. Hayes' information. Catherine checked her watch. I need to make contact with my handler before they report me missing. The hotel security footage will show me leaving with you. They'll want verification I'm safe. Michael nodded, his tactical mind already mapping operational security requirements. Use the secure line in the office. It's untraceable. He hesitated, then added, Does Mercer know you found me? Not yet. Catherine's response was carefully neutral. That's your call. The implication was clear. Michael's former commander wanted to rebuild Elite Shadow to finish what they'd started before Black River. The question was whether Michael was willing to become Ghost again, to step back into the shadows he'd fought so hard to escape. Emma watched her father's face reading the conflict there with a child's intuitive understanding. She reached into her backpack and pulled out one final paper crane, this one folded from black paper, unlike the colorful others. I made this one special just for you, Daddy, for when you need to be strong like before. Her small hands placed the black crane in Michael's arm, a gesture so laden with meaning that Catherine looked away, recognizing the private moment. Michael stared at the black crane, the color of Elite Shadow's unofficial emblem. Somehow Emma had sensed the significance, though he'd never shared those details of his past. The paper felt impossibly light in his hand, yet carried the weight of everything he'd left behind, everything he might need to reclaim to protect his daughter. As Catherine moved to the office to make her call, Michael knelt beside Emma, holding the black paper crane between them. "Where did you find Black Paper, Princess?" He kept his voice light casual. Emma's expression was serious beyond her years. "I've been saving it, for when you needed to remember who you used to be, before you were just my daddy." The simple statement struck Michael with unexpected force. In his determination to protect Emma from his past, he'd underestimated how clearly she saw through his carefully constructed facade, how much she'd already pieced together from fragments of overheard conversations, nightmares, and the combat instincts he couldn't entirely suppress. Victor Reed's voice echoed in his memory. "Wrong man, buddy." The security chief had been right in ways he couldn't have imagined. Michael Turner, maintenance engineer and single father, was indeed the wrong man to threaten. Because beneath that carefully constructed identity remained Ghost, the elite shadow operative, trained to eliminate threats no one else could touch. Emma placed her small hand over his, covering the black paper crane. "It's okay to be both, Daddy." Her simple wisdom cut through Michael's internal conflict. From the office, Catherine's voice carried faintly as she communicated with her handler. "Secure for now. Evidence located. Proceeding with extraction plan." Michael rose, slipping the black paper crane into his pocket. With his daughter's permission, he would become Ghost again one last time to ensure her safety, to confront whatever shadow from Black River had followed them into their carefully constructed new life. Emma smiled up at him, recognizing his decision before he voiced it. "The cranes will protect all of us now, Daddy, especially the black one." Michael touched the paper shape in his pocket, feeling its delicate strength. The operative in him knew it was merely folded paper, a child's craft project without power. But the father in him understood its true significance, a talisman of Emma's trust, her belief that he could be both the protector she needed and the warrior the situation demanded. The sun had begun to set, casting long shadows through the safe house windows. As darkness fell, Michael Turner prepared to let Ghost resurface, not to reclaim his past, but to protect his daughter's future. One final mission. One last time in the shadows. Then perhaps they could truly disappear. Catherine returned from the office, her expression grim. "My handler confirms Monarch has escalated the search for us. They've accessed law enforcement databases using falsified security clearances. They'll have your identity, or at least the Michael Turner identity, within hours." Emma had fallen asleep on the sofa, surrounded by her colorful paper guardians. Michael covered her with a blanket before responding. His voice pitched low. "Then we move first. Tell me about the Regency Grand security systems. Everything you know." As Catherine began detailing the hotel's vulnerabilities, Michael felt the familiar cold focus settle over him. Not the maintenance engineer, not even the father. For this one mission, he would become Ghost again, the operative who had never failed, never hesitated, never lost. The wrong man indeed for Victor Reed to have threatened. Emma stirred slightly in her sleep, her small hand reaching for a fallen paper crane. Even unconscious, her instinct to protect remained active. Michael tucked the crane back into the protective circle, a silent promise to his daughter. He would finish this not for vengeance or duty, but for her. For the future he'd promised her mother he would secure, no matter the cost. Catherine spread the Regency Grand's architectural blueprints across the safe house coffee table, the corners weighted with Emma's paper cranes. Her finger traced the path through the hotel's service corridors with practiced precision. The server room is located on the lower level adjacent to the security office. 2 checkpoints with key card access biometric scanner at the final entrance. Michael studied the layout, his mind automatically cataloging vulnerabilities and contingencies. Standard hotel security systems with modifications typical for operations hiding in plain sight. The biometric scanner is our biggest obstacle. Do you have access credentials? Catherine shook her head. That's where I need your expertise. The server room is isolated from external networks and air-gapped system. We need physical access to extract the data. Emma stirred on the sofa, rubbing sleep from her eyes. She observed the adults hunched over the blueprints, her young mind processing their focused intensity. What are you doing? Michael shifted smoothly from tactical assessment to father mode. We're planning a special job, Princess. Like the puzzle games we play, but more complicated. Catherine watched their interaction with veiled curiosity. The dichotomy between the ruthless operative she'd researched and this gentle father remained jarring. She'd expected Ghost to be harder, colder, the elite shadow commander whose mission reports read like clinical surgery. Instead, she found a man who folded his daughter's blanket with the same precision he used to analyze security protocols. Emma climbed from the sofa, approaching the blueprints with undisguised interest. She pointed to a section Catherine had marked. That looks like where the mean man's office was. Her observation was startlingly accurate. Michael exchanged a glance with Catherine, both recognizing the child's unusual perceptiveness. That's right, Princess. Victor Reed's security office is here, which means we need to be especially careful with this section. Emma nodded with surprising seriousness. He won't catch you. The Cranes won't let him. Catherine resumed her briefing, respecting Emma's presence without sugarcoating the situation. My latest intelligence indicates a significant meeting at the hotel tomorrow night. High-value clients arriving for what the staff schedule lists as a private investment conference. Michael connected the timing to the elevated security he'd observed. The code phrase Victor used, special acquisition. That's their cover for the intelligence exchange. Emma settled beside her father, leaning against his arm while extracting a small notebook from her pocket. She began sketching the hotel layout with remarkable accuracy, adding symbols of her own creation beside critical points. Catherine continued, seemingly unsurprised by the child's behavior. If we access the server room during the exchange, we can capture both the operational data and real-time evidence of the transaction, enough to expose Project Chrysalis and everyone involved. Michael's tactical assessment ran parallel to his personal calculations. The timing created additional risk, but also opportunity. Security would be focused on protecting the exchange, potentially creating blind spots elsewhere. What about Emma? I won't leave her unprotected. Catherine had anticipated this concern. I've arranged a secure FBI safe house. My handler will personally ensure her safety. We can transport her there tomorrow morning before we implement the operation. Emma's head snapped up, her eyes flashing with sudden alarm. I'm staying with Daddy. Her voice carried surprising authority for a 10-year-old. Michael placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. It might be safer if I know when you're in danger. Emma cut him off with unexpected vehemence. I knew before Black River. I told Mom something bad would happen, but she didn't believe me. The statement hit Michael like physical impact. Emma had never before mentioned her premonition about Black River, the mission that had claimed her mother's life. Sarah Turner had been Elite Shadow's medical officer, insisting on joining the final mission despite Michael's objections. Her death in the explosion had left Emma with only her father and apparently with knowledge she'd kept hidden until now. Catherine observed the exchange with new understanding. The connection between father and daughter went deeper than normal family bonds. There was something almost symbiotic in their relationship, a shared awareness that transcended verbal communication. Emma returned to her notebook, adding more symbols with focused determination. I'm making a map of the safe paths, where the Cranes should go. Michael examined her drawing more carefully, recognition dawning. The symbols weren't random childish scribbles, but a sophisticated pattern: entry points, surveillance blind spots, optimal positioning. Emma had created a tactical assessment that mirrored his own mental mapping, despite never receiving formal training. Catherine leaned closer, her professional curiosity evident. Those markers, they look like security bypass indicators. Her voice held new respect as she addressed Emma directly. Did your father teach you this system? Emma shook her head without looking up from her work. I just see the paths, the safe ways through, always have. Michael met Catherine's questioning gaze over Emma's head, offering a slight nod of confirmation. Emma's unusual perceptiveness had manifested shortly after Sarah's death, an inexplicable ability to sense danger and identify secure routes through complex environments. Military doctors had attributed it to trauma-induced hypervigilance, but Michael had long suspected something more profound. Catherine accepted this revelation with professional composure, redirecting their focus to operational planning. Based on your expertise, what's our best approach to the server room? Michael studied the blueprints weighing options with Ghostos tactical precision. We'll need maintenance credentials, legitimate ones. My existing contract provides initial access but not to restricted areas. For that, we'll need to clone a high-level security badge. Emma pointed to her drawing without looking up. This door has a broken magnetic strip. They use the override code instead of badges. Her matter-of-fact delivery suggested this was obvious information rather than classified intelligence. Catherine stared at Emma, then back at Michael. Unspoken questions evident in her expression. Michael nodded again, confirming Emma's assessment. She notices things most adults miss. Details, patterns, vulnerabilities. It's why I've kept her close, not just to protect her, but because sometimes she protects me. The admission shifted something in Catherine's demeanor, a new respect not just for Michael, but for the extraordinary child who'd been silently observing them. She addressed Emma directly without condescension. What else have you noticed about the hotel, Emma? Emma looked up, her expression serious beyond her years. The cameras on the third floor don't record, they just show real-time feeds. And the big man who guards the elevator to the special rooms has a gambling problem. He leaves his post every 30 minutes to check scores on his phone in the staff bathroom. Michael absorbed this intelligence with a mixture of pride and concern. Emma's observations were tactically valuable, but highlighted how much she'd internalized during their brief visit to the hotel, her mind constantly scanning for threats and weaknesses, just as he'd been trained to do. Catherine incorporated this new information into their planning with professional efficiency. We can use the maintenance access route through the North Service corridor. With Emma's intel about the guard's schedule, we can time our approach to coincide with his break. Michael studied the blueprints with renewed focus. Once inside the security perimeter, we'll have approximately 8 minutes to access the server room, extract the data, and exit before the automated system triggers a verification scan. Emma continued adding details to her map, her small fingers moving with methodical precision. The timing has to be perfect. The bad man checks the special room at 9:15 every night. His watch is always 3 minutes fast. Catherine's eyebrows rose slightly, but she didn't question Emma's certainty. Instead, she pulled a small device from her bag, a specialized data extraction tool designed to bypass standard security protocols. Once we're in, this will extract everything without triggering internal alarms. The hotel system won't register the intrusion until their next scheduled integrity check at midnight. Michael nodded, mapping the operational sequence in his mind. We'll need disguises for the approach. Maintenance uniforms provide initial cover, but won't stand up to close scrutiny from Reed's security team. Catherine removed a folder from her briefcase, revealing identification badges and documentation. I've prepared cover identities. IT consultants contracted to upgrade the hotel's reservation system. The credentials will pass standard verification. Emma finished her drawing, carefully tearing the page from her notebook. She folded it, precisely transforming the tactical map into an intricate paper crane, one that contained all their operational planning within its wings. This one goes with you. For protection. Her solemn delivery carried absolute conviction. Catherine accepted the offering with equal seriousness, understanding that in Emma's world, these weren't merely folded paper, but talismans of genuine power. Thank you, Emma. I'll keep it safe. Michael watched this exchange, sensing a subtle shift in his daughter's demeanor. Emma had accepted Catherine not just as her father's ally, but as someone worthy of protection, someone she'd included in her private system of safety. The conversation transitioned to equipment preparation, with Catherine producing specialized tools from her vehicle communication devices, electronic bypass modules, and a compact tablet for data analysis. The FBI didn't sanction this equipment. My own resources. Michael understood the implication. Catherine Hayes wasn't just an FBI agent investigating money laundering. Her personal investment in this case extended beyond professional duty, something connected to the Blackwood name she carried, but deliberately obscured. Emma had returned to the sofa, organizing her remaining paper cranes in a complex pattern that mirrored the hotel's layout. Each crane positioned to correspond with security checkpoints and surveillance nodes. The child's instinctive tactical mapping remained unsettling even to Michael, who had witnessed it evolve over years. Catherine noticed his attention on Emma and lowered her voice. Her abilities they developed and after Black River murder. Michael nodded slightly. After Sarah died, the doctors called it trauma response, hypervigilance, pattern recognition, amplified by anxiety. But it's more than that. She sees things that aren't visible, knows things she shouldn't be able to know. Catherine absorbed this information with thoughtful consideration rather than skepticism. Similar phenomena have been documented in other children connected to classified projects. Her research background became evident in her analytical approach. The Blackwood Corporation's Neurological Enhancement Division conducted several studies on intuitive pattern recognition before the program was officially terminated. The implication hung between them unspoken but clear. Elite shadow operatives had been exposed to experimental protocols during their training neurological optimizations, officially listed as Advanced Situational Awareness Enhancement. Sarah Turner, as unit medical officer, had overseen the treatments while pregnant with Emma. Michael had long suspected a connection, but had deliberately avoided investigating, afraid of what he might discover about his daughter's unusual abilities. Emma's safety had always taken precedence over answers that might draw unwanted attention. Catherine seemed to recognize his reluctance and shifted back to operational planning. We should rest before tomorrow's mission. The safe house has 2 bedrooms. You and Emma can take the main one. I'll use the secondary room. Emma's voice carried from the sofa, though she hadn't visibly been listening to their conversation. Ms. Catherine should take the room with the north-facing window. It's safer there. The security patrols don't pass by that side of the house. Michael exchanged another glance with Catherine, both acknowledging Emma's uncanny awareness of their surroundings. She'd somehow mapped the neighborhood's security patterns despite only entering the safe house hours earlier. The night progressed with final preparations, weapons checked, and concealed communications tested. Infiltration timing confirmed. Emma eventually drifted to sleep, surrounded by her paper guardians, leaving the adults to finalize details without filtering their conversation for a child's ears. Catherine accessed her secure tablet, displaying intelligence photographs of known Project Chrysalis operatives. Victor Reed is mid-level management security implementation rather than strategic oversight. The real power behind the operation is James Monarch himself. Michael studied the image of Monarch Luxury's CEO, a polished businessman whose philanthropic activities provided perfect cover for more clandestine operations. His military background recognized the subtle indicators of someone trained in intelligence operations, the calculated public persona, the careful management of his digital footprint, the strategic business acquisitions that provided global access. According to my source, Monarch will personally attend tomorrow night's exchange. Catherine's revelation shifted the operational stakes significantly. This is the first time he's directly involved himself in a transfer. Whatever intelligence they're moving, it's high value. Michael considered the implications with Ghost's analytical precision. High-value intelligence meant increased security, but also increased opportunity. Capturing evidence that directly implicated Monarch would prevent him from distancing himself if the operation was exposed. Emma stirred in her sleep, murmuring something indistinct before settling again. Michael instinctively moved to adjust her blanket, the simple paternal gesture, a stark contrast to the assassination scenarios simultaneously running through his tactical assessment. Catherine observed this dichotomy with evident fascination. How do you balance them, the father and the operative? Michael's hand lingered on Emma's shoulder, feeling her steady breathing. I don't. They're not separate people. Everything Ghost was. Everything Elite Shadow trained me to be now exists for one purpose, protecting her. The deadly skills, the tactical awareness, the capacity for calculated violence, it's all redirected toward a single mission more important than any government directive. The simple truth resonated through the safe house, a father's fierce protection transmuted into something beyond ordinary parental devotion. The black crane Emma had given him remained in his pocket, a tangible reminder of his daughter's acceptance of both sides of his nature. Catherine seemed to weigh his response against her own experiences. My father built Blackwood Corporation as a security company. Protection was our family business. But somewhere along the way, protection became exploitation. Power corrupted the original mission. Michael recognized the personal revelation beneath her professional exterior. Catherine Hayes Blackwood wasn't just investigating money laundering or intelligence trafficking. She was seeking redemption for her family legacy. The morning arrived with gray pre-dawn light filtering through security blinds. Emma woke with characteristic alertness, transitioning from sleep to full awareness, without the groggy disorientation most children experienced. Her eyes immediately sought Michael, confirming his presence before scanning the room for Catherine. Michael had already prepared breakfast, simple but nutritious. The domestic routine provided normalcy amid their extraordinary circumstances, a deliberate effort to maintain Emma's stability despite the looming operation. Catherine emerged from the secondary bedroom, her professional demeanor firmly in place despite the early hour. Her handler has confirmed transport arrangements, warrants for Emma's secure location, 2-agent detail, full protection protocols. Emma looked up from her cereal, her expression resolute. I'm not going with strangers. I stay with Daddy. The pattern isn't right if I'm not here. Catherine approached the table, carefully addressing Emma with respect rather than condescension. Emma, what do you mean by the pattern? Emma reached for a blank page, quickly sketching an intricate diagram, interconnected lines forming a complex web around central figures that clearly represented Michael and Catherine. When things connect right, everyone stays safe. If I go away, the pattern breaks. She traced a line that linked her position directly to both adults, then demonstrated how its removal caused the entire structure to collapse. Michael studied his daughter's drawing, recognizing elements of advanced tactical positioning combined with something more intuitive, a system of connections that transcended conventional operational planning. Emma's perception had always operated on multiple levels, sensing relationships and vulnerabilities invisible to others. Catherine examined the diagram with genuine interest rather than dismissal. This is remarkable pattern recognition. Her professional assessment gave way to more personal consideration as she addressed Emma directly. Would you feel safer staying close to the operation but not directly involved? Perhaps in a secure location where you could maintain the pattern without being in danger. Emma considered this compromise, her young face serious as she traced alternate configurations in her diagram. I could stay in the car with a special radio, like our practice drills. Michael recognized the reference to their emergency protocol situations where Emma remained in a secure vehicle with communications equipment, maintaining contact while positioned safely away from potential danger. It wasn't ideal from a tactical perspective, but it acknowledged Emma's legitimate concerns while providing reasonable protection. Catherine seemed to understand the significance of Emma's concession. I'll arrange for a secure vehicle with communication equipment positioned near the hotel, but outside any potential conflict zone. My handler can monitor from distance without direct contact. Emma nodded, accepting this arrangement. The pattern will hold if I can still see everything. Her mysterious assertion carried absolute certainty. Final preparations accelerated as morning progressed. Michael maintained outward calm while inwardly transitioning into operational mode, Ghost's methodical assessment overlaying the father's protective instincts to create something uniquely focused. Each piece of equipment was checked twice, contingency plans, established extraction routes confirmed. Catherine received updated intelligence from her handler, confirmation that James Monarch had indeed arrived at the Regency Grand ahead of the scheduled exchange. The operational stakes elevated further with his presence, transforming a data extraction mission into a potential decapitation strike. Project Chrysalis. Emma worked silently at the kitchen table, creating more paper cranes with increased complexity. Each new creation incorporated elements of their operational planning, folded precisely to contain information only she understood. She arranged them in patterns corresponding to the hotel's layout, creating a paper echo of their infiltration route. By afternoon, the safe house had transformed into a fully operational command center. Catherine's specialized equipment established secure communication channels, while Michael prepared their cover identities, IT consultants with legitimate credentials that would withstand standard verification procedures. Emma watched these preparations with solemn attention, occasionally offering observations that revealed her uncanny awareness. The blue shirt is better. Security is less suspicious of blue today. Catherine received a final intelligence update that dramatically shifted their operational parameters. Monarch has accelerated the timetable. Exchange happening at 7 p.m., not 9 p.m. Her expression tightened with professional concern. We've lost our window for optimal security shift change. This complicates our approach. Michael immediately recalculated Ghost's tactical adaptability, replacing the father's deliberate caution. Accelerated schedule means compressed security verification. They'll be rushing standard protocols, creating potential oversights. We can use that. Emma abandoned her paper folding, moving to study the blueprints again. Her small finger traced an alternative route through the hotel's infrastructure. This way is clear now. The water pipe broke this morning, so no guards until they fix it. Catherine stared at Emma, then checked her tablet for hotel maintenance reports. She's right. Water damage reported in the East Service Corridor 30 minutes ago. All security personnel redirected to protect electronic equipment. Michael didn't question how Emma knew this. Her inexplicable awareness had proven reliable too many times. Instead, he incorporated this intelligence into their revised approach. East Corridor gives us access to the secondary server room first. We can establish a digital foothold before approaching the primary target. Final preparations merge seamlessly into deployment. Michael changed into business attire that projected IT professional rather than maintenance worker, subtle transformation that altered his entire demeanor. The methodical movements, measured responses, and analytical focus of Ghost emerged without consuming the father's protective instinct. Emma received her own preparation, a secure tablet connected to their communication system, emergency protocols reviewed, extraction, contingencies confirmed. She would remain in Catherine's surveillance vehicle 3 blocks from the hotel. Monitoring security feeds Catherine would redirect to her system. Catherine completed her transformation with similar efficiency, professional attire that conveyed corporate authority while concealing specialized equipment. Her movements displayed the precision of someone with field experience beyond standard FBI training, confirming Michael's suspicion that her investigative skills extended into more clandestine operations. As departure time approached, Emma arranged her paper cranes in final configuration, a protective circle surrounding the tactical diagram of the hotel. The last crane folded from midnight blue paper she pressed into Michael's hand. The strongest protection. Because tonight is darker than usual. Michael accepted this offering with appropriate gravity, recognizing the emotional significance beyond the physical object. Emma's paper talismans represented her attempt to extend protection beyond her physical presence, manifestation of a child's profound love translated into tangible symbols. Catherine observed this exchange with respectful silence, acknowledging the private ritual without intrusion. Her own expression revealed complex emotions beneath her professional exterior, perhaps recognition of something she'd never experienced in her relationship with Richard Blackwood, whose corporate empire had apparently prioritized power over family bonds. The operational team departed at precisely 5:30 p.m., timing their approach to coincide with peak guest arrival, when hotel staff would be focused on check-ins rather than security anomalies. Emma rode silently in the back seat, her tablet already displaying hotel schematics annotated with her mysterious symbolism. Catherine drove with controlled precision, her focus evident in her measured breathing and scanning gaze. This isn't just professional for you, is it? This mission goes beyond standard FBI investigation. Michael acknowledged the accurate assessment. Black River wasn't an accident or terrorist attack. It was deliberate internal. Someone with high-level clearance authorized the elimination of Elite Shadow because of what we discovered about Project Chrysalis. Emma's voice carried from the back seat, her attention apparently focused on her tablet despite her clear attention to their conversation. Mom knew they were coming. She sent me away 10 minutes before the explosion. She told me to find you at the extraction point. Michael turned surprise, momentarily disrupting Ghost's calculated composure. You never told me that. Emma looked up, her young eyes carrying ancient knowledge. You were already sad enough, Daddy. I didn't want to make it worse. The revelation settled between them, another piece of the Black River mystery Emma had carried alone. Sarah Turner's final act had been to save their daughter, somehow anticipating the attack before it occurred. The same inexplicable awareness Emma now demonstrated. Catherine processed this new information with professional discipline. If Sarah Turner anticipated the attack, she might have secured evidence before the explosion, something that survived Black River. Michael considered this possibility with renewed focus. Sarah had access to all Elite Shadow intelligence. As medical officer, she maintained independent records beyond standard mission documentation. If she suspected internal betrayal, she would have created contingency measures. Emma returned her attention to her tablet, seemingly disengaged from this speculation. But her quiet words carried unmistakable significance. Mom put something inside her favorite crane before she gave it to me. I was supposed to give it to you when the time was right. Michael stared at his daughter, comprehension dawning. Emma's paper cranes weren't merely symbolic protection, They were communication system inspired by Sarah's final message. The origami creatures Emma had been creating since Black Rivers carried dual purpose, emotional comfort, and tactical significance. Catherine recognized the importance of this revelation, but maintained operational focus as they approached the deployment zone. The surveillance vehicle was positioned exactly as planned, clear sightlines to the hotel's main entrance while remaining outside security perimeter. Emma settled into the vehicle's secure rear compartment, surrounded by monitoring equipment and communication systems. Her tablet connected to Catherine's specialized devices, creating real-time data link that would allow her to observe their progress through the hotel's security layers. Michael performed final equipment check with Ghost's methodical precision. The black crane Emma had given him remained in his breast pocket, not just symbolic protection, but tangible reminder of exactly why Ghost had reemerged from Michael Turner's carefully constructed civilian life. Catherine's expression conveyed professional confidence, layered over personal determination. Whatever Project Chrysalis represents, it cost your team their lives. It cost Emma her mother. Tonight we find out why and ensure those responsible face consequences. Michael met her gaze with matching resolve. The elite shadow commander and the FBI investigator shared single purpose, transcending their different paths. For this operation, their divergent motivations aligned into perfect synchronicity. Emma's final words followed them as they departed the surveillance vehicle. The pattern holds strongest when people protect each other, not just themselves. Her childish wisdom carried weight beyond her years. Distillation of lessons learned through profound loss and extraordinary perception. Michael and Catherine approached the Regency Grand with synchronized purpose. Their covers established their mission clear. Ghost had reemerged not for vengeance, but protection, not just of Emma, but of the principles Sarah Turner had died defending. Whatever secrets Project Chrysalis contained, they would be exposed tonight. The hotel's ornate entrance loomed before them, crystal chandeliers casting prismatic light across marble floors where their confrontation with Victor Reed had begun mere days earlier. Michael adjusted his professional demeanor, Ghost's calculated precision overlaying the maintenance engineer's practiced invisibility. The wrong man had returned this time deliberately purposefully and prepared to finish what Elite Shadow had started at Black River. The Regency Grand's opulent lobby transformed as evening approached, ambient lighting softening to create an atmosphere of exclusive luxury. Security personnel positioned themselves with practiced casualness while staff prepared for the investment conference scheduled in the executive wing. Michael and Catherine entered through the main entrance, projecting the confident indifference of corporate IT professionals, expected but unimportant, invisible through their very ordinariness. Their carefully selected attire communicated precisely the right blend of business competence and technological specialty, conservative enough to move unquestioned through corporate environments while suggesting the mild eccentricity expected of technical consultants. Every element of their presentation had been calculated to deflect attention rather than avoid it. Catherine led their approach to the reception desk, credentials already prepared. The Thornton Group scheduled network maintenance for the reservation system. Her delivery carried the slight impatience of someone who had repeated this introduction countless times at similar establishments. The receptionist verified their appointment with practiced efficiency, barely glancing at the documentation before directing them to the business center where a staff liaison would meet them. The casual dismissal was exactly what they had anticipated. Hotel staff were focused on the VIP guests arriving for the private conference, not routine maintenance. Michael maintained situational awareness while projecting distracted professionalism, cataloging security positions and camera coverage through peripheral vision. 3 guards had been added since his previous visit, positioned to monitor approach routes to the executive conference rooms. Victor Reed was notably absent from the main security station, likely preparing for Monarch's arrival. Their staff liaison arrived promptly. A junior assistant manager, clearly assigned the task as punishment for some previous infraction. His barely concealed disdain for technical matters worked to their advantage, minimizing the questions he might otherwise ask about their specific tasks. Catherine maintained control of the interaction, her corporate demeanor providing perfect cover for Michael's more detailed surveillance. We'll need access to the network infrastructure room first. Standard protocol requires baseline testing before we implement the reservation system update. The liaison escorted them toward the business center, his disinterest in their work providing natural cover for Catherine to establish communication with Emma. She adjusted her earpiece while extracting a tablet from her briefcase. I'll need to verify our network access points. Standard procedure. Emma's voice came through their secured communication system with perfect clarity, her calm delivery belying her age. All security cameras are operational except for the ones covering the East Service Corridor. Two maintenance workers checking the water damage now. Michael recognized the implication immediately. Their planned access route remained viable. He exchanged a subtle glance with Catherine, who nodded almost imperceptibly. Their synchronized understanding operated on multiple levels, professional expertise amplified by shared purpose. The business center provided ideal staging ground for the operation's first phase. Their liaison left them with keycard access and instructions to call the front desk when their work was complete, exactly the operational freedom they required. Catherine immediately accessed the hotel's network through her specialized equipment, while Michael secured the room against unexpected interruptions. Emma's voice continued, providing real-time intelligence through their earpieces. Mr. Reed just entered the main security office. He's reviewing camera feeds and deployment positions. 3 black SUVs arriving at the VIP entrance now. Michael accessed the surveillance feed Catherine had established, confirming Emma's report. James Monarch emerged from the center vehicle surrounded by private security detail that moved with military precision, former Special Forces operators recognizable through their positioning and scanning patterns. Monarch himself projected relaxed authority, his bespoke suit and practiced smile masking the calculated awareness evident in his eyes. Catherine processed this development with professional detachment, though the slight tension in her posture betrayed personal investment beyond her FBI responsibilities. Monarch himself confirming the exchange's importance. The operation's stakes had elevated substantially. Success would provide evidence directly linking Monarch to Project Chrysalis, while failure would expose them to immediate and lethal response. Michael's focus narrowed to operational parameters, Ghost's tactical efficiency replacing Michael Turner's paternal concerns. Success was the only acceptable outcome, not just for the mission but for Emma's future security. Emma monitored Monarch's movement and security deployment. We need real-time updates on their positions relative to our approach route. Emma's response came with childlike precision. He's going to the Diamond Suite on the 15th floor. 4 guards with him, 2 at the elevator, 2 at the suite entrance. 6 more spreading through the hotel. Her spatial awareness of the security deployment transcended what should have been possible through camera feeds alone, confirming Michael's growing suspicion about his daughter's extraordinary perceptual abilities. Catherine completed her network infiltration, establishing digital access points that would facilitate their server room breach while leaving minimal evidence of intrusion. The preparations complete, she met Michael's gaze with professional determination, layered over personal resolve. Time to move. They proceeded toward the service areas using their IT consultant credentials to move through staff-only sections without raising suspicion. The East Corridor showed evidence of recent water damage maintenance equipment positioned around exposed ceiling panels where pipes had apparently ruptured earlier that day. The absence of security personnel confirmed Emma's intelligence electronic equipment protection protocols had redirected coverage away from this vulnerable access point. Emma's voice provided continuous updates through their secured communication. Mr. Reed just dispatched 2 security teams to sweep the lower levels. Standard protocol before Monarch receives the package. You have approximately 12 minutes before they reach your position. Michael acknowledged this timeline, tactical calculations automatically adjusting their approach. The water damage provided natural explanation for their presence near restricted areas. IT consultants verifying network integrity following infrastructure issues. Catherine reinforced this cover by openly documenting connection points with her tablet as they moved through the corridor. The secondary server room appeared precisely as blueprints had indicated, modest technical infrastructure behind standard security protocols. Catherine bypassed the electronic lock with practiced efficiency, while Michael maintained surveillance of adjoining corridors. The door opened without triggering alarms, allowing them to slip inside undetected. Catherine immediately connected her specialized equipment to the hotel's systems, establishing deeper access to security protocols and communication networks. Emma, we're patched into the secondary network. Can you access the internal security feeds from your position? Emma's response came with unexpected technical authority. Connecting now, I can see everything. Her voice carried childish satisfaction at successful execution rather than surprise at accessing sophisticated security systems. Michael secured the room while Catherine extracted preliminary data, her expression tightening as information flowed across her screen. Financial transactions, client lists, communication logs, evidence of money laundering operations extending through multiple Monarch properties. But the real objective Project Chrysalis documentation remains secured in the primary server room adjacent to the main security office. Emma's voice interrupted their assessment urgency, replacing her previous calm. Something's changed. New security team arriving through the garage entrance. Not on the regular staff list. Michael accessed the security feed Emma had highlighted, immediately recognizing the tactical formation of the new arrivals. These weren't standard hotel security, but specialized operators, likely former military or intelligence personnel. Their deployment pattern indicated response to potential threat rather than routine security enhancement. They've detected our digital intrusion. Catherine's assessment confirmed his tactical evaluation. Their firewall triggered a silent alarm when we accessed the financial records. Michael shifted immediately to contingency planning, ghost combat instincts overlaying the mission parameters. Extraction route through the loading dock compromised. Alternate approach to primary objective required. Emma's voice carried unexpected authority through their communication system. No extraction, the pattern still holds. Use the kitchen service elevator. It's in maintenance mode for the next 4 minutes. Catherine met Michael's gaze, silently questioning Emma's assessment against their planned protocols. Michael nodded once firm acceptance of his daughter's inexplicable, yet consistently accurate situational awareness. They secured the secondary server room and proceeded toward the kitchen access point Emma had identified, moving with purposeful efficiency that avoided drawing attention. The service elevator operated on maintenance override, just as Emma had indicated. The control panel bypassed standard security verification, while technicians addressed reported mechanical issues. Michael and Catherine entered, without challenge, the elevator providing direct access to the administrative level where the primary server room was located. Emma continued providing real-time intelligence as they ascended. Mr. Reed dispatched 6 guards to the secondary server room. They'll discover your intrusion in approximately 2 minutes. Mr. Monarch is meeting with 3 men in the Diamond Suite. One appears to be a senior military officer based on his posture and the deference shown by others. Catherine processed this information with professional focus, though her expression betrayed deeper concern. Military involvement elevated the situation beyond standard criminal investigation, suggesting government complicity in Project Chrysalis that would complicate FBI prosecution. Michael recognized her calculation, having faced similar ethical complexities during elite shadow operations where mission objectives conflicted with institutional loyalties. The elevator opened onto the administrative level, currently deserted, as staff attended to the VIP event in the executive wing. Michael led their approach to the primary server room, ghost tactical movements replacing the maintenance engineer's deliberately ordinary presence. The corridor remained clear, security cameras positioned exactly as blueprints had indicated, but now presenting active threat given the heightened alert status. Catherine accessed her tablet, implementing pre-programmed disruption of the surveillance system. We have 50 seconds before the security system registers the camera loop and triggers automated verification protocols. They moved with synchronized efficiency toward the primary server room, positioned adjacent to the security office, as their intelligence had indicated. The proximity created both challenge and opportunity, direct access to their objective, but immediate response if detected. The biometric security panel required Catherine's specialized bypass equipment, which she deployed with practiced precision while Michael maintained perimeter awareness. Emma's voice carried increased tension through their communication system. Mr. Reed is returning to the security office. ETA 40 seconds. Catherine's bypass sequence completed just as Victor Reed's voice became audible from the adjoining corridor. The security chief was issuing instructions to his team, directing sweeping search patterns focused on the lower levels where their digital intrusion had been detected. The server room door opened with barely audible pneumatic hiss, allowing Michael and Catherine to slip inside moments before Reed passed their position. The primary server room contained significantly more advanced equipment than its secondary counterpart, multiple server racks with independent cooling systems and redundant power supplies. Catherine identified the primary database node and connected her extraction device, while Michael secured their position, calculating optimal defensive positions if their presence was discovered. Emma's update confirmed the operational timeline had accelerated dramatically. The special security team is accessing the secondary server room now. They'll detect your data extraction signature within 90 seconds. Catherine worked with focused intensity, her equipment bypassing standard security protocols to access encrypted databases containing Project Chrysalis documentation. The specialized software identified and extracted relevant files while minimizing digital footprint, sophisticated technology clearly developed by resources beyond standard FBI technical capabilities. Michael positioned himself near the entrance, ready to intercept potential threats, while ensuring Catherine had necessary time to complete the extraction. His combat awareness heightened as Emma provided continuous intelligence on security movements throughout the hotel, allowing him to anticipate potential response patterns. Catherine's expression shifted as extracted data appeared on her device, professional focus giving way to genuine shock as she processed the information. Project Chrysalis isn't just selling intelligence. It's an integrated military intelligence operation targeting domestic population control technologies. Her voice carried horrified recognition as implications became clear. This is what Elite Shadow discovered before Black River. Michael absorbed this confirmation with cold clarity pieces, finally connecting after 3 years of unanswered questions. Elite Shadow's final mission had uncovered domestic surveillance infrastructure, disguised as commercial security technology violation of constitutional protections implemented through private contractors to circumvent legal restrictions on government activities. The revelation had triggered their elimination by those who couldn't risk exposure. Emma's voice interrupted with renewed urgency. Mr. Monarch is leaving the Diamond Suite with the military officer. They're heading toward the security office. Her tactical assessment continued with disturbing precision. They know you're there. The pattern is changing. Catherine completed the data extraction, securing the evidence on encrypted drives before disconnecting from the server. She met Michael's gaze with grim determination. This goes beyond money laundering or intelligence trading. Monarch is implementing surveillance infrastructure throughout luxury properties worldwide, creating monitoring network that bypasses all legal oversight. Michael processed this information against his elite shadow knowledge, recognizing the strategic implementation that would place listening and tracking technology in proximity to political leaders, business executives, and influential private citizens who frequented Monarch properties. The perfect intelligence gathering operation hiding in plain sight. Emma's voice carried increasing tension. Security teams converging on administrative level, all elevators locked down, emergency stairwells under surveillance. Michael calculated remaining options with tactical precision, identifying potential extraction routes against escalating threat response. Catherine secured the extracted data and reset her equipment to leave minimal evidence of their intrusion. Their synchronized efficiency reflected compatible operational backgrounds despite their different institutional origins. Reed's voice became audible outside the server room, issuing direct instructions to his security team. Full lockdown protocols. No one enters or leaves until we locate the intruders. The security chief's tone carried professional authority layered with personal anger, his previous encounter with Michael clearly influencing his response intensity. Michael identified their only viable option with ghost tactical certainty. We moved through the security office directly, the unexpected approach providing advantage of surprise against forces deployed to block standard escape routes. Catherine nodded her agreement without hesitation, accepting the high-risk strategy as their best remaining option. She prepared her equipment for rapid deployment, while Michael positioned himself at the connecting door between server room and security office. Emma's voice provided final tactical intelligence before they committed to action. Mr. Monarch and the officer are 30 seconds from your position. 4 guards with them, standard protective formation. Her child's voice carried remarkable calm, despite the escalating danger, reflecting profound trust in her father's abilities. Michael accessed his combat training with fluid transition, Ghost's lethal capabilities emerging from beneath Michael Turner's carefully constructed, ordinary existence. The transformation occurred without external indication, subtle shifts in posture and focus that optimized his physical capabilities for the coming confrontation. Catherine positioned herself with similar combat readiness, confirming Michael's assessment of her training beyond standard FBI procedures. Her movement suggested specialized tactical background comparable to his own, though without the neurological enhancements elite shadow operatives had received. Michael initiated their extraction with precise timing, entering the security office during momentary gap in surveillance coverage. Two guards stationed at monitoring stations reacted with professional speed but inadequate preparation for ghost combat efficiency. Michael neutralized both with non-lethal precision pressure point techniques that rendered them unconscious without permanent injury. Catherine secured the room with equal efficiency, disabling communication systems and extracting security credentials that would facilitate their escape through controlled checkpoints. Her movements confirmed specialized training beyond her FBI credentials, suggesting covert operations background that aligned with Blackwood Corporation's classified activities. Emma's voice provided continuous tactical updates as they secured the security office. Mr. Reed and primary response team diverted to secondary server room based on automated alert protocols. Monarch and military officer approaching security office from Eastern Corridor. Elevator security override initiated from Diamond Suite control panel. Michael processed this intelligence against structural blueprints, identifying optimal extraction route through service areas connecting administrative level to hotel kitchen. The pathway would bypass primary security checkpoints while providing multiple contingency options if intercepted. Catherine completed final data security measures, ensuring extracted intelligence remained protected regardless of potential capture. The evidence safe, she'd moved toward their identified extraction route with focused determination that matched Michael's operational intensity. The security office door opened before they reached their exit point, James Monarch himself entering with calculated confidence, backed by armed security detail. The Monarch Luxury CEO projected polished authority, despite the tactical situation, his expression conveying aristocratic amusement rather than alarm. Wrong room ghost. Monarch's casual use of Michael's operational designation confirmed worse suspicions about the breach of classified information, though perhaps wrong man is more accurate considering your current domestic situation. Michael assessed the tactical situation with cold precision. 4 armed guards positioned for maximum coverage, Monarch himself maintaining safe distance while projecting confidence in his security detail. The military officer remained partially visible in the corridor beyond, deliberately staying outside immediate conflict zone. Catherine maintained professional composure despite clear recognition of Monarch's identity, her position shifting subtly to optimize defensive capabilities while protecting the extracted data. The FBI has been investigating your operations for months, Mr. Monarch. Project Chrysalis has been compromised. Monarch's expression registered mild disappointment rather than concern, suggesting Catherine's revelation provided no meaningful surprise. My dear Ms. Hayes Blackwood, or should I address you by your actual credentials, your father would be deeply disappointed by your current activities. The personal reference confirmed Michael's suspicion that Catherine's investigation had deeper connections than standard FBI operation, something linked directly to her family legacy in Blackwood Corporation's involvement with Elite Shadow. Catherine maintained professional discipline despite the provocation, her focus remaining on operational objectives rather than personal history. Emma's voice through their communication system carried unexpected calmness despite the dangerous confrontation. The pattern still holds, Daddy. The cranes are working. Michael felt the paper crane in his pocket, the black origami talisman Emma had created specifically for this mission. The tactical absurdity of drawing strength from folded paper registered distantly against ghost combat calculations, yet something deeper than rational assessment responded to his daughter's absolute conviction. Monarch gestured casually to his security detail, issuing instructions with aristocratic indifference. Secure them both. Minimize damage to the woman. Blackwood will pay premium for his daughter's return. Ghost is expendable now that we've confirmed his identity. The security team advanced with professional coordination. Former military operators recognizable through their tactical positioning and movement patterns. Michael assessed their capabilities with Ghost's analytical precision, identifying optimal countermeasures that would neutralize the threat while minimizing lethal force. Emma was monitoring everything through their communication system. Her father wouldn't demonstrate unnecessary violence for his daughter to witness. What began appeared as straightforward security response transformed as Michael engaged Ghost combat efficiency, dismantling their coordinated approach with surgical precision. Each movement served multiple purposes, redirecting attackers into each other's paths using their momentum against them, creating cascading disruption that magnified his tactical advantage despite numerical disadvantage. Catherine demonstrated comparable combat proficiency, though her techniques suggested different tactical background intelligence field operations rather than special forces methodology. Her movements complemented Michael's approach, creating synchronized defense that optimized their respective strengths while compensating for potential vulnerabilities. Monarch maintained his position outside direct conflict, his expression transitioning from confidence to calculation as his security detail proved inadequate against Ghost's capabilities. The military officer behind him spoke quietly into secured communication device, clearly summoning additional resources to contain the situation. Emma's tactical updates continued through their communication system, providing critical intelligence about security deployments beyond their immediate visibility. Hotel lockdown protocols fully implemented. All standard exits secured. Loading dock remains accessible through kitchen service corridor maintenance override, still active on security subsystems. Michael created momentary advantage by incapacitating the remaining security personnel, providing Catherine opportunity to secure their position while he addressed Monarch directly. Project Chrysalis ends tonight. Elite Shadow completed their final mission after all. Monarch's composed exterior cracked slightly, revealing genuine anger beneath his cultivated aristocratic indifference. You understand nothing, Ghost. Chrysalis isn't just surveillance, it's evolutionary necessity. National security infrastructure for modern threats requires capabilities beyond outdated constitutional limitations. Michael recognized the justification from countless classified briefings, security requirements superseding legal frameworks, through carefully constructed rationalizations about exceptional circumstances and evolving threats. The same arguments had established Elite Shadow itself specialized unit operating beyond traditional military constraints to address emerging asymmetrical threats. Catherine secured digital evidence while maintaining defensive position, her focus remaining on operational objectives rather than ideological debate. The constitutional limitations you find so outdated are precisely what separates legitimate security operations from tyranny. The distinction apparently escapes your ethical framework. Monarch's attention shifted fully to Catherine, his expression suggesting recalculation of her significance beyond Blackwood family connection. Interesting perspective from Blackwood's daughter. Your father understood necessity better than most. His corporation pioneered the neurological enhancements that created Ghost and his Elite Shadow colleagues. The revelation landed with calculated precision, confirming connections Michael had suspected but never verified. Blackwood Corporation's involvement with Elite Shadow had extended beyond equipment provision into biological enhancement, experimental procedures that had optimized operators' physical and cognitive capabilities beyond normal human limitations. The same enhancements potentially explaining Emma's extraordinary perceptual abilities inherited from her mother. Catherine absorbed this confirmation without visible reaction, though her operational focus intensified perceptibly. My father's ethical compromises are precisely why I'm here, Mr. Monarch. Accountability eventually reaches everyone, even those who believe themselves beyond its reach. Emma's voice interrupted their confrontation with renewed urgency. Special security team entering administrative level from emergency stairwell. 60 seconds to your position. The pattern is changing. You need to move now. Monarch registered their active communication with someone outside the immediate confrontation, his expression shifting toward genuine concern for the first time. Who is providing your tactical intelligence? His question carried professional assessment rather than casual inquiry, recognition that their operational awareness exceeded expected capabilities. Michael utilized this momentary distraction to initiate extraction, signaling Catherine with subtle gesture that synchronized their movement towards secondary exit he had identified during initial tactical assessment. The door led to maintenance corridor connecting security office to service areas pathway, not indicated on standard architectural blueprints, but visible to Ghost's enhanced structural awareness. Emma continued providing real-time intelligence as they moved through the maintenance corridor, her situational awareness seemingly unhindered by physical separation from their location. Kitchen access route, compromised security team redirected to cover potential extraction paths. Alternate route through laundry processing area remains unmonitored. Michael led their movement through service passages with Ghost's precision navigation, Catherine maintaining pace while securing their extracted intelligence. Monarch's voice faded behind them, issuing commands to security personnel with increasing urgency as his targets escaped immediate containment. The administrative levels restricted access provided temporary advantage, standard hotel security, lacking authorization for specific areas that Michael navigated with confident familiarity. Each turning decision incorporated Emma's continuous intelligence updates, allowing them to avoid security response teams converging from multiple directions. Victor Reed's voice became audible through hotel security communications system, the chief security officer coordinating comprehensive search pattern designed to prevent their escape. All exits remained covered, standard protocols implemented with professional efficiency that would have trapped ordinary intruders within the security perimeter. Emma's tactical guidance led them through laundry processing areas currently deserted during evening operations. The industrial facility provided access to service delivery entrance, normally used for linen supply transportation. Exit point overlooked in standard security lockdown due to its specialized function outside regular hotel operations. Catherine maintained professional focus despite increasing pressure securing their extracted intelligence while following Michael's tactical lead through the complex extraction route. Her movements betrayed specialized field training beyond standard FBI procedures, supporting Michael's growing assessment of her background and covert operations connected to her family's corporate interests. Emma's voice carried renewed urgency as they approached potential extraction point. Mr. Reed has identified your movement pattern. Security teams redirecting to cover service exits. The pattern is shifting, alternative approach required. Michael processed this intelligence against structural knowledge, identifying secondary option through maintenance tunnels connecting hotel infrastructure to adjacent commercial properties. The underground passage provided evacuation route during potential emergencies, access restricted to specialized security personnel with appropriate clearance levels. Catherine followed his tactical adjustment without requiring detailed explanation, her operational adaptability matching his own enhanced capabilities. Their synchronized movement reflected compatible training despite different institutional backgrounds. Ghost's elite shadow protocols aligning with Catherine's specialized field experience. The maintenance access point required security credentials extracted during their brief control of the security office authentication measures Catherine implemented with efficient precision while Michael maintained perimeter awareness. The access panel opened to reveal concrete service tunnel, illuminated by emergency lighting infrastructure pathway, connecting multiple buildings within the commercial development. Emma's voice maintained calm authority through their communication system despite increasing tactical pressure. Primary security response focusing on hotel exits. Tunnel system not included in current containment protocols. Her assessment provided critical confirmation of their extraction viability, though her method of accessing this information remained inexplicable given her limited technical resources. Michael led their movement through the tunnel system with confident navigation. Ghost's enhanced spatial awareness mapping optimal route toward their designated extraction point, where Emma waited with Catherine's handler. The underground pathway stretched ahead in branching configuration concrete arteries, connecting commercial properties throughout the surrounding development. Catherine maintained operational pace while processing extracted intelligence on her secured device, her expression reflecting growing comprehension of Project Chrysalis implications. This surveillance infrastructure integrates with Blackwood Corporation technology prototype systems my father developed before his death. Her voice carried personal recognition beneath professional assessment. My own family's legacy weaponized against constitutional protections. Michael absorbed this confirmation while maintaining tactical focus pieces, connecting with increasing clarity. Elite Shadow's final mission had uncovered Blackwood prototype systems repurposed for domestic surveillance violation of established boundaries between military capabilities and civilian applications. The revelation had triggered Black River's destruction to eliminate witnesses and evidence before official channels could be notified. Emma's tactical updates continued guiding their movement through the tunnel system, her awareness of security response patterns seemingly unaffected by their subterranean position. Mr. Monarch has deployed specialized response team through alternate tunnel access point, thermal imaging equipment activated to track movement through infrastructure corridors. Michael adjusted their approach immediately, tactical calculations incorporating this new threat vector against remaining extraction options. The specialized response team represented significant escalation operators with comparable training and equipment to Ghost's own capabilities. Direct confrontation would endanger their extracted intelligence and potentially confirm Michael's identity beyond current suspicions. Catherine recognized the tactical implications with matching professional assessment, adjusting her movement to optimize stealth rather than speed. Her operational adaptation further confirmed specialized training beyond standard FBI field procedures, suggesting background in covert operations aligned with Michael's elite shadow experience. The tunnel system's branching configuration provided tactical options, multiple potential routes toward their extraction point, with varying degrees of concealment and access restriction. Michael selected secondary pathway, requiring specialized access credentials routes secured by authentication protocols that would delay pursuit while providing less direct but more defensible approach to their objective. Emma's voice carried unexpected emotional undercurrent beneath her tactical composure. "Something's wrong with the pattern, Daddy. It's changing too quickly." Her child's perception apparently detecting variables beyond standard tactical assessment, recognizing threat patterns invisible to conventional analysis. Michael processed this warning with appropriate gravity. Despite its inexplicable nature, Emma's perceptual abilities had repeatedly demonstrated accuracy beyond rational explanation. He heightened his tactical awareness further, Ghost's enhanced senses operating at maximum capacity to detect potential threats before direct engagement. Catherine secured their extracted intelligence in specialized containment designed to preserve data integrity, regardless of physical interception, ensuring Project Chrysalis evidence would reach appropriate authorities even if they failed to complete extraction. Her operational priorities remain clear, despite escalating tactical pressure mission, success prioritized above personal safety. The tunnel ahead opened into larger junction chamber, connecting multiple infrastructure pathways necessary, transition point toward their extraction route, but creating tactical vulnerability through reduced concealment options. Michael slowed their advanced enhanced senses, detecting subtle environmental indicators of recent movement through the supposedly secured area. Emma's warning came seconds before thermal signatures appeared at the chamber's opposite entrance. Specialized response team deploying with tactical precision that confirmed Michael's assessment of their capabilities. The operators moved with a coordinated efficiency, recognizable as specialized military training, likely former Special Forces operators recruited into Monarch's private security apparatus. Michael signaled Catherine to secure position behind infrastructure equipment, providing partial concealment, while he assessed response options against the approaching threat. Direct confrontation remained viable, but would create unacceptable risk to their extracted intelligence specialized operators, potentially equipped to neutralize their evidence before it reached appropriate authorities. Catherine positioned herself with tactical discipline while preparing contingency measures, separate data package that could be transmitted through emergency protocols if physical extraction became impossible. Her operational adaptability further confirmed specialized background beyond her official FBI credentials, suggesting classified experience comparable to Michael's own military history. Emma's voice provided critical tactical intelligence through their secured communication system. Alternative exit through maintenance shaft located behind Northeast Junction panel. Structural blueprints indicate vertical access to commercial property above current position. Her assessment delivered with childlike precision that belied the sophisticated spatial analysis required to identify this escape route. Michael located the maintenance access point with Ghost's enhanced perceptual capabilities service panel, designed for infrastructure maintenance rather than personnel movement, but providing viable extraction option given their current tactical constraints. Catherine followed his indication without requiring verbal communication, their operational synchronicity, optimizing movement efficiency while minimizing detection risk. The specialized response team continued methodical sweep of the junction chamber, thermal imaging equipment detecting residual heat signatures from Michael and Catherine's recent passage. Their tactical discipline confirmed Michael's assessment operators with specialized training comparable to elite shadow protocols equipped with advanced detection technology designed to counter enhanced operatives. The maintenance shaft provided narrow vertical access route, confined space requiring specialized climbing techniques, but offering concealment advantages against conventional pursuit. Michael secured the access panel behind them after Catherine entered, ensuring minimal evidence of their passage while creating additional delay for pursuing forces. Emma's voice maintained remarkable calm despite the tactical pressure evident in her situation updates. Mr. Monarch has arrived at Junction Chamber with military officer. Additional security teams deploying through all tunnel access points. Her awareness of enemy movements transcended what should have been possible through conventional monitoring systems, suggesting perceptual capabilities beyond normal parameters, similar to Ghost-enhanced awareness. Michael led their ascent through the maintenance shaft with efficient movement, optimized for the confined space Catherine following, with matching capability that further confirmed her specialized training background. The vertical passage extended approximately 30 feet upward, terminating at service access point, connecting to commercial property that architectural blueprints identified as high-end department store adjacent to the hotel complex. Catherine maintained operational focus while processing tactical implications of their current situation. Project Chrysalis penetrates deeper than intelligence trading. The military officer with Monarch suggests Pentagon involvement classified program operating without congressional oversight or judicial review. Her assessment aligned with Michael's own analysis explaining the extraordinary resources deployed to prevent their escape with extracted evidence. The maintenance shaft terminated at secured access panel, requiring specialized tools to open from interior position. Michael deployed compact multi-tool from concealed pocket ghost equipment selection, reflecting years of operational experience in complex extraction scenarios. The panel released with minimal noise after careful manipulation of securing mechanisms, providing access to storage area within the commercial property above. Emma's tactical updates continued through their communication system, providing critical intelligence about security deployments throughout surrounding properties. Hotel security expanding search parameters to adjacent buildings. Local police resources mobilized through emergency protocols initiated by Monarch's security team. Her awareness of tactical developments remained inexplicable given her limited monitoring resources and physical separation from active engagement areas. Michael secured the storage area with swift assessment, confirming minimal security coverage, typical of commercial retail environments. The department store had closed for regular business hours, but maintained skeleton security staff focused primarily on exterior access points rather than internal monitoring, creating viable extraction path towards service delivery area where Catherine's handler would be positioned with transportation. Catherine completed final verification of their extracted intelligence, ensuring data integrity while preparing for potential remote transmission if physical extraction became impossible. Her operational discipline reflected specialized training beyond standard FBI procedures, agent capable of maintaining mission focus under extreme tactical pressure. Emma's voice carried renewed urgency through their communication system. The pattern is stabilizing again. Exit through northeast service door leads directly to extraction point. Her tactical guidance provided critical confirmation of their planned route while suggesting her extraordinary awareness extended to active monitoring of their designated extraction team. Michael led their movement through the commercial property with Ghost's tactical precision, utilizing service quarters and staff-only areas to minimize potential security encounters. Catherine followed with matching efficiency, their synchronized movement optimizing speed while maintaining appropriate concealment protocols given the expanded security response coordinated by Monarch's resources. The department store's service area appeared ahead loading dock normally used for merchandise delivery, but currently secured for evening closure. Standard security measures presented minimal challenge compared to hotels' specialized protocols, allowing Michael to bypass electronic locks with efficient application of extracted security credentials, while Catherine maintained perimeter awareness. Emma's voice provided final tactical confirmation as they approached potential extraction point. FBI vehicle positioned exactly as planned. Handler maintaining secure perimeter with backup team on standby. The pattern is complete, Daddy. The cranes worked. Michael felt unexpected emotional response to his daughter's simple assertion. The folded paper talismans she'd created somehow connected to her extraordinary perceptual abilities and tactical awareness. The black crane remained in his pocket throughout the operation, its presence representing connection to Emma that transcended physical separation during the high-risk extraction. Catherine secured final approach to extraction vehicle with professional discipline, though her expression revealed genuine relief as operational success appeared increasingly viable. The FBI team maintained concealed positioning around designated extraction point tactical formation designed to secure the package retrieval while minimizing visible security presence that might trigger Monarch's expanded response protocols. Emma's small figure became visible inside the secured vehicle, her face illuminated by tablet screens displaying multiple data feeds with complexity far beyond normal 10-year-old capabilities. Her expression transformed from intense concentration to beaming smile as she spotted Michael approaching the tactical intelligence provider, instantly reverting to ordinary child, relieved to see her father returning safely. Michael maintained final security protocols while approaching extraction point, Ghost's enhanced awareness, detecting no immediate pursuit or surveillance coverage in their immediate vicinity. The specialized response teams remained focused on tunnel system and hotel complex tactical misdirection, successful in creating operational window for their escape with extracted intelligence. Catherine's handler emerged from concealed position as they approached professional assessment, evident in his tactical positioning and equipment configuration. The senior FBI agent's expression confirmed operational success while gesturing toward waiting vehicle with clear extraction priority. Asset secured, immediate departure protocol initiated. Emma practically launched herself from the vehicle as Michael approached childish enthusiasm, overriding tactical discipline that had characterized her communication throughout the operation. Her small arms wrapped around his waist with fierce determination, physical connection reestablishing emotional security that transcended their extraordinary circumstances. "You did it, Daddy. The cranes protected everyone, just like I said they would." Michael embraced his daughter with equal intensity, Ghost's tactical discipline temporarily yielding to father's profound relief at reunion. Emma's safety represented his primary mission parameter, operational success, measured first through her protection rather than intelligence extraction or Project Chrysalis exposure. The paper crane in his pocket pressed against his chest, Emma's origami talisman completing its symbolic journey. Catherine transferred extracted intelligence to her handler with professional efficiency, though her attention remained partially focused on Michael and Emma's reunion, personal recognition visible beneath her operational exterior. The evidence secure, she approached the father-daughter pair with genuine warmth, breaking through her professional composure. "Your daughter's tactical intelligence proved remarkably accurate. I'd question the methodology if the results weren't so unquestionably effective." Emma beamed with childish pride at this adult acknowledgement of her contributions. "The cranes helped me see the patterns. They always have ever since Mom showed me how to make them." Her simple explanation offered no scientific clarification, yet carried absolute conviction that transcended rational analysis. Michael maintained protective positioning around Emma while processing operational completion parameters, Ghost's tactical awareness gradually receding as immediate threat indicators diminished. Catherine's handlers secured their position with professional efficiency, additional FBI personnel establishing perimeter coverage to ensure safe extraction from operational zone. Catherine addressed Michael directly as operational pressures decreased, personal perspective emerging more clearly through professional exterior. Project Chrysalis represents fundamental threat to constitutional governance, domestic surveillance, beyond any legal authorization or oversight. The evidence we've secured will reach proper authorities regardless of internal penetration. Michael recognized the commitment beneath her professional assessment, Catherine Hayes Blackwood, pursuing justice despite potential family legacy complications and institutional resistance. Her determination matched his own dedication to protecting Emma, personal mission, transcending professional parameters or institutional loyalties. Emma maintained physical contact with Michael while observing Catherine with surprisingly adult assessment in her young eyes. "You should come with us, Ms. Catherine. The pattern works better when we stay together." Her childish declaration carried unexpected weight, tactical recommendation embedded within innocent suggestion. Catherine exchanged glance with Michael, mutual recognition of complications extending beyond current operational parameters. Monarch had identified them both. Ghost's carefully constructed civilian identity compromised, while Catherine's FBI cover potentially exposed as Blackwood Corporation connection became known to Project Chrysalis leadership. Michael processed tactical implications with Ghost precision while maintaining Michael Turner's paternal priorities. Emma's safety required complete extraction from established patterns, new identities, new location, comprehensive security measures beyond those previously implemented after Black River. Catherine's involvement created additional variables, but potentially valuable resources through her FBI connections and personal capabilities. Catherine seemed to reach similar conclusion through parallel assessment, her professional analysis aligning with personal inclination. Her gaze met Michael's with clear communication beyond verbal expression, recognition of shared mission, extending beyond current operation into uncertain future, where Project Chrysalis exposure would trigger powerful countermeasures from those implicated in its implementation. Emma looked between adults with perceptive understanding beyond her years, her small hand reaching into pocket to produce another paper crane, this one folded from vibrant blue paper rather than tactical black. For new beginnings. When people protect each other instead of just themselves, her simple wisdom carried profound truth applicable beyond their immediate tactical situation. Michael accepted his daughter's offering with appropriate gravity, the blue crane joining black one in his pocket, symbols of transformation from Ghost's isolated operational existence to something more integrated and purposeful. Emma's extraordinary perception had recognized essential truth that transcended tactical parameters or operational objectives. Catherine's handler interrupted their moment with professional urgency security update, demanding immediate extraction from potentially compromised position. Monarch's resources expanding search parameters beyond hotel complex into surrounding commercial district. Time-sensitive extraction window requiring immediate implementation of departure protocols. Michael secured Emma within extraction vehicle while maintaining final perimeter assessment, Ghost's enhanced awareness detecting no immediate pursuit, but recognizing expanded search parameters that would eventually identify their position. Catherine completed final operational documentation with professional efficiency before joining them in the secured transport tacit acceptance of Emma's recommendation to maintain their operational connection beyond current mission parameters. Emma arranged her remaining paper cranes in specific pattern across vehicle seating, creating symbolic protection that clearly provided genuine comfort despite its tactical irrationality. Her belief in these folded talismans represented innocence, preserved despite extraordinary circumstances, childhood resilience maintaining core humanity despite exposure to adult complexities beyond normal comprehension. Michael maintained protective positioning around Emma Affurin's extraction vehicle departed Ghost's tactical awareness gradually receding as immediate threat indicators diminished with increasing distance from operational zone. The paper cranes in his pocket pressed against his chest, black and blue origami symbols, representing transformation from isolated operative to something more integrated and purposeful. Catherine reviewed extracted intelligence during transit, her expression revealing growing comprehension of Project Chrysalis implications beyond initial assessment. This surveillance infrastructure extends through every Monarch property worldwide access points, establishing monitoring capability for thousands of political leaders, business executives, and influential private citizens. Her voice carried appropriate gravity given the constitutional implications. Complete circumvention of legal constraints on government surveillance through privatized implementation. Michael processed this confirmation against Elite Shadow's final mission parameters, the intelligence they'd uncovered at Black River before deliberate elimination through orchestrated accident designed to protect Project Chrysalis implementation. Sarah Turner had somehow anticipated the attack, ensuring Emma's survival while preserving crucial evidence through her origami message that had remained undelivered until now. Emma leaned against her father with childish trust that transcended their extraordinary circumstances. Tactical intelligence provider reverting to ordinary 10-year-olds secure in paternal protection. She held another paper crane in her small hands, working methodically on complex folding pattern, while security vehicle carried them toward designated safe house, where extracted intelligence would be properly secured before transmission to appropriate authorities. The city lights streamed past vehicle windows as they moved through nighttime streets, illumination patterns creating kaleidoscope effect against Emma's focused features. Her voice carried simple certainty that cut through complex tactical and political implications surrounding them. "We're going somewhere new now, aren't we?" Daddy Michael confirmed with gentle honesty that had always characterized their relationship despite necessary operational secrets. "Yes, Princess, somewhere new where we can be safe." His tactical assessment had already begun calculating optimal relocation parameters, secure location beyond Monarch's extensive resources, while maintaining access to protective infrastructure necessary given their newly exposed identities. Catherine observed their interaction with thoughtful assessment, clearly influenced by personal perspective beyond professional parameters. Her own family history created natural understanding of their circumstances. Daughter of powerful corporate figure, making independent choices based on personal ethical framework rather than inherited loyalty structures or institutional expectations. Emma continued methodical creation of new paper crane while processing implications with surprising maturity. Will Ms. Catherine come too? The pattern works better when we stay together. Her childish assessment contained tactical validity beyond her years, combined resources and capabilities, providing enhanced security parameters compared to isolated operation. Michael exchanged glance with Catherine, mutual recognition of potential alignment beyond current operational parameters. Ghost's tactical precision recognized Catherine's specialized capabilities and institutional resources as valuable security enhancement, while Michael Turner's paternal priorities acknowledged Emma's instinctive trust in someone who had demonstrated both professional competence and personal integrity throughout high-risk operation. Catherine addressed Emma directly with respect that acknowledged the child's extraordinary capabilities while maintaining appropriate adult boundaries. I think we might be working together for quite some time. Her response provided neither false promises nor unnecessary complications. Professional assessment aligned with personal inclination without overcommitting beyond current operational parameters. Emma nodded with satisfaction clearly visible, despite tactical extraction circumstances, returning to her origami creation with renewed purpose. I'll make special cranes for our new place. Extra strong protection for all of us. Michael maintained protective positioning around Emma, while extraction vehicle continued toward designated safe house. Ghost's tactical awareness, gradually integrating with Michael Turner's paternal identity rather than remaining separate operational mode. The paper cranes in his pocket represented this integration, folded symbols, connecting his most lethal capabilities with his most human purpose through his daughter's extraordinary perception and innocent wisdom. The extraction vehicle proceeded through darkened streets toward uncertain future, where Project Chrysalis exposure would trigger powerful countermeasures requiring continued vigilance and adaptation. But fundamental parameters had shifted through operational success, and Emma's simple wisdom, the wrong man had been properly identified, wrongdoing clearly established between constitutional governance and tyrannical surveillance protection, prioritized over exploitation. Emma completed her latest origami creation complex crane, incorporating multiple paper colors into integrated, whole stronger than individual components. She placed it carefully between Michael and Catherine, symbolic bridge connecting their separate backgrounds into potential integrated future. The pattern is complete now. Her childish certainty carried inexplicable authority transcending rational analysis. We're stronger together than apart.